So yeah, we've got this car now. This is my S13. It's a 180 front, so Onevia. Yeah, back to an SR20. I did a deal with the Mark II with a buddy down south, Sean Benema. So I got this car and some cash my way. Bit of a rundown on this thing. It's a forged SR20. It's got a Tomei bottom end. Got a TD06, Cinco Mini, Turbo Smart Wastegate. It's all run by Power FC. It's got pretty extensive headwork actually. It's got some 272 HKS cams. Pop the valve cover off and there's double valve springs. It looks like it's probably solid lifter conversion as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this was actually Sean's Ebisu car. He bought this. This was his first drift car he ever bought. He was bought from Power Vehicles. It was a pretty high spec build. Obviously there's a lot of good stuff on it. It originally had a HKS 3040 turbo kit. It's the turbo there, looking a bit worse for wear. With the HKS like Mani and big 25 kg HKS 50mm wastegate. And yeah, it was just too laggy, he found, so he put the TD06. It's a Kinagawa TD06. Also had this big custom plenum on it as well. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with that, whether it's worthwhile putting it back on or... I mean, these bunch of banana manifolds actually flow pretty well, so probably just stick with that. I mean, clearly things need quite a decent tidy up in here. I'm just going through, we've got Matsuri coming up. Just going through, it's a bloody fire waiting to happen in that, on that hot side. So I've just gone through and reheat sleeved a bunch of the lines and all that kind of stuff. I've also done a Tarks low mount power steering kit, which is a pretty nice bit of kit. So yeah, we're going with the same green as Joe. Doing black wheels. What else? It's got a full cage in it. Sean did the cage. Yeah, it's got a full bloody plethora of G-Ready electronic gauges, which is pretty cool. Kind of need that when you've got a Power FC that doesn't really have any safety protocols in it to, you know, cut for oil pressure and fuel pressure and all that kind of stuff. So I might just move the oil pressure gauge up onto the steering wheel so I can actually see what's going on. Pretty stripped out in the back, still full interior in the front, headliner, which is pretty cool. A couple of breed race seats. I'll put my race deck back in because it's the most comfy. It's got RB25 gearbox, which is pretty good. It's got twin plate clutch, ORC I think. GDR rear end with the big axles and all that kind of stuff, so it's a factory two-way diff. I'll put this carbon origin thing on, some new tail lights in, a roof spoiler to put on. Yeah, so full D-Max aero, origin guards. It's got came with these Kawamis, so 17.9 actually CR on the front. 17.9 and 10.5 18s on the rear Kawamis. I've still got all my wheels. The Mark II didn't go with any wheels, so yeah, I've still got all my wheels. I sold the 57 DRs, didn't really need them. The main thing I've done is I bought these stance coilovers. These are the D1 spec ones. These are the ones Naoki uses in his S13s and whatnot. I'm not sure about his new D1 car, but pretty nice bit of kit. Got the Swift spring upgrade as well, so 9 kg fronts, 5 kg rears. Got all the spacers stacked up. Yeah, so I'm just going through tidying a few bits up. Obviously we've painted it, so making a few changes, put the combat eye in. I just need to button those up. This is Saturday now. I've actually got to go to Chris on Monday down in Wellington for just a checkup on the tune. So I've got a fair bit of work to do this weekend. get all this back together and going. But yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people are wondering why I got rid of the Mark II. Yeah, so maybe we'll just go into that for a brief moment. The Mark II, I mean, it was a cool car for sure. I just get really bored of cars, man, to be honest. It was fun to drive, it did everything I wanted it to do. The biggest gripe with me was the factory gearbox, the R154. The thing really needed a dog box. And I just wasn't prepared to spend, you know, sort of 10, 12 grand on a gearbox setup. I couldn't really put too much more grip in that car without exploding that gearbox. So I just needed to get something that was a little cheaper to run, I guess. I don't know if this is going to be cheaper to run, but it should go through less tyres. It's not going to be running on ethanol. It's going to be running it on NPD 100. So it should overall be a little cheaper to run. I'll keep it gripped up because I can. So hopefully it doesn't toast through tyres, and I can just get back into that kind of Silvia S chassis driving that I really enjoy. The Mark II I wouldn't call it a lazy car, but it certainly doesn't have the characteristics of an S chassis. And I mean, to stay interested in drifting, I need to do what's exciting to me. And the S chassis is it, to be honest. Yeah, so one other thing I'm doing, I'm just swapping out this old oil cooler, putting this one in from Phoenix. Bit bigger capacity, all that kind of stuff. We've got the thermo block down there, so yeah, I just wasn't sure about this one. This engine, after Sean originally bought it and did his first trip to Eversoo, it ran a bearing. So then it got rebuilt over there. Power Vehicles did all the rebuild. Agent K? I think Agent K built it. So got a couple of new rods, new crank, all new bearings, fully rebuilt, all that kind of stuff. But he wasn't sure if they'd actually changed the oil cooler and lines out. He did go back afterwards, did about 13 days straight, he said, after it was rebuilt. So there's probably nothing wrong with it, but I think I don't know, they look a bit better. There's less sort of restriction in front of the intercooler as well, and obviously when the aero's on, there's not an awful lot of airflow getting to the intercooler with it mounted so far back. But yeah, anyway, just making up some brackets to mount all that, make up some lines, and yeah. Yo, so went to the dyno on Monday, went and saw Chris. Yeah, everything went pretty good. The car did pretty well, did a lot better than I was expecting actually. Yeah, so here's the dyno sheet. Oh, it's a bit weird. So ended up with 289, 427 torque. The boost controller was pretty whack, so it's got this pretty weird boost curve and then it creeps up. So totaling about 24 psi. So yeah, pretty happy with that. It should be more than enough to turn a couple of wheels. Had a little mishap. The fan was loose. I'm not sure if I did that or if that just happened, but that was loose, and he started running it up and the whole fan sort of flew up, pulley flew off, destroyed what was left of the shroud. There wasn't much of a shroud there anyway, but it got destroyed. So I thought we might have toasted the water pump, but everything seemed pretty good. Put everything back together, and then everything was fine from there. So sick. Just on finishing up a few bits. Still got all the original bumper supports on this thing, which is pretty sweet. Just going through and tidying up a few more things. the rear bumper support on as well. Just giving them a lick of paint. Just, yeah, tidying a few things up before Matsuri. Just sorting out this power cable from the rear battery, which kind of sucks. So it's got these 3 cables, which is weird. I think this runs all through there, up, and then through down there, and down into the starter motor, I think. So I'm just going to replace that with a single cable, because that one's actually a little bit short as well. It's kind of hanging there. Not ideal. So yeah, we're going to get that sorted out. It's got to get wheel alignment done, mount up the bumpers, and just give everything a good clean down. I've got to mount the rear wing as well, actually. That's another thing I've got to do. It's got the D-Max rear wing there to put on. Put some stickers on. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty stoked with that power level, actually. I'm not really sure what I was expecting. Yeah, so I mean, it could probably do a bit more with a decent turbo and a proper ECU. The Power FC is a little bit limiting with a few things, and it's a little frightening as well using it without any sort of safety features in it. But after talking with Chris and also Jeff down there, Jeff's NZ wiring, probably end up going with a Max Sport ECU when I get, you know, after I've done a few days in this as it is and I get bored of it, which I probably will. We'll end up probably doing a Max, and I'm probably going to go with a G30 660, so we go with the mid-frame G series, and see what it can do. I've already got a few bits sort of stacking up. I've got some 1170 injectors, fuel rail, also got these vag coils from Steve at Stealth Ride down there as well. Need to send me an invoice for those, mate. And also, actually, the car was just at Sam Smith's, Smith Industries. He's just, can't really see it down there, but there's basically no support for the exhaust from the sort of subframe back, so there's a lot of weight at this end. So I got him to chuck in another hanger off the gearbox mount, I think it is. And we also replaced the flexi joint with a proper, I can't really see it in there. Oh, yeah, there it is. With a proper bellow. The flexi was on the bottom, so it had been all rubbed away, you know, from ground clearance issues, which this thing definitely does not have now. And he put a stainless bellow in there, which I much prefer, so that's good. Yeah, that's ride height's actually looking pretty good, I reckon. 3 fingers, yeah, that's pretty good. That's about right. So yeah, I'm excited to drive this car, man. Series in a couple of weekends time. So yeah, we get these few little bits buttoned up and hopefully we are good to go. Yeah, the other little mishap was a leaky rocker cover gasket. Quite a bad leak coming down just in here, sending up a bit of smoke. So sort of rigged that back up. I think it's just a bit on me. You can see a little bit of moisture around that seal there. So I got some stuff. I got a new rocker gasket, which I ordered from Australia, along with a couple of bits. Went with some green rocker thingies. I'm gonna do this like probably a wrinkle black, and then put these green things in, because green and stuff, I mean, I don't know. Ordered the stuff from Tarks or EFI Solutions in Australia on Tuesday. It arrived on Wednesday from Australia, so I don't think we even get stuff that fast within New Zealand, so that's pretty sweet. So I also got to take that off. Yeah, I might do this rocker cover as well while it's all off. I'm gonna grind off all the writing, smooth it all out, and then probably do wrinkle black. I think would look pretty sweet. to try and tie this engine bar up, man, it friggin' sucks. It's a very, very sad looking engine bay. Bit of rust on that seam back there. It's a bit of rust everywhere, to be honest, but what do you expect from a 30-something-year-old car? So, yeah. So got rid of a bit of wiring. Typical Japanese wiring, bird's nest crap. So I've just run a new, I don't know what gauge that is, it's 2 gauge power feed. It was kind of all, because the fuse box is actually mounted in the glove box. Everything's sort of been relocated. Power FC sitting in there as well. That's all down there. So the original battery terminal is sort of in here. So it was sort of junctioned over in the sort of driver's footwell area. Like junctioned, I mean kind of like twisted together and taped up. So I'll just run a separate one back to the battery for that. There was also a really big gauge wire for the fuel relay that they've put in the back. Way oversized, so I'll disconnect that straight up to the battery, which is just there. So yeah, I don't really know why they've done that like that, these random grounds everywhere. So yeah, I'll just run this stuff through here, through the firewall, hook that up to the starter motor. So yeah, I got the rocker cover off, managed to shave it all down, so that's good. Just use a grinder for that. So just a grinding wheel first, and then a flappy disc, and I'll go over it again with the orbital sander. So yeah, getting there. Okay, we are Saturday before Matsuri. Well, that light's bright. Saturday before Matsuri. Series next weekend. Just getting the last few bits buttoned up. I've got a pretty full-on week. Next week I've got to be up in Auckland for a couple of days, and Wednesday's pretty much my only day here in New Plymouth, because me and Alice are going over early to Taupo. But anyway, got a fair bit done. We're pretty much there with the car. Few little things to sort out. Pretty minor stuff. I've done all the major stuff. So yeah. So I did a wrinkle coat black on the rocker cover, just to, I don't know. I like black. I think the green's pretty loud, so I think having a black sort of accented engine bar would be quite cool. Obviously all this blue stuff's gonna go. Got these little dress up things from Tarks, Australia. So I guess it adds a little bit of a contrast in there, but overall it's pretty cool. Ash did send me all the black silicone, but either I measured them wrong or he sent the wrong ones, but pretty much none of them work. So yeah, it's engine bay pretty much done. Got everything sort of mounted, bumpers mounted. Had to cut quite a bit off the D-Max, unfortunately. It was pretty much sitting like there, and with the amount of spacer that's on there, it's about 70mm of spacer. The scrub radius was just all sort of out of whack. The cut is kind of radiused. I had to bash quite a bit at the back there as well. Might actually chuck a little bit more camber in it once I get the alignment done, sort of get to 8-ish. It's probably about 6 or so at the moment, and take a bit of caster out. Just to, yeah, maybe create a little bit more clearance. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with it. Rear's pretty low. Might actually have to raise that up a bit. Still got to put the fuel flappy thing on. Most of the interior's sorted. I ran new power cable to the battery. So that's all new through here. Got a little post in there, and that post runs off to the original fuse box, which is in the glove box. So that powers everything in there. I also tarted up all the original fuel pump stuff. There was a weird little Japanese relay in here, and there was a massive, I don't know, it's probably like, man, it would have been like 4 gauge, maybe wire, 6 gauge maybe, running back and into it, which was directly from the power, so directly from the battery, via the fuse box in the glove box. No fuse, nothing on it. So I just went through and redid it all. So we've got a little relay here with a built-in fuse, which is good. So that's just running through there to the battery. I got a different battery come in, and that's in an awkward spot. So I'll change that later. Got one of those little small dry cell ones coming. So yeah, redone that. So that's for all the fuel sender stuff. And that one just powers the fuel pump. So we've got a hard wire. So should be nice and simple. Got the wing, rear, carbon origin. I'm just going to leave it carbon. I think the contrast is quite cool with the black wheels and the green car. Obviously, like, there's a lot of holes, but oh well. I got the D-Max roof spoiler mounted as well. A few of the homie stickers on there. Tokyo Factory, PS at Garage Ponies, D-Club stance as well for the coilovers. So yeah, getting pretty amped for some driving. Man, it's been a while. Hopefully I remember how to do it. Taupo's pretty easy, so should be alright. Not really too sure if I've talked about the dyno, but yeah, dyno's, I did talk about the dyno. So yeah, getting there. Okay, I think we're pretty much all set. Bumper's all mounted, all the cosmetic-y stuff's done. I put the stock mirrors back on. I actually needed to repaint those because I'd missed a couple little edges, but I'd actually ordered some sort of like little race style mirrors from Race Tech. Didn't realise they actually sold them, but they got those cool little race style ones. Everything fit up pretty good. Yeah, gave it a bit of a wash, took it for a bit of a blat. Power delivery's pretty flat, I guess is the word, because the boost controller doesn't really work. So the boost curve, it's uphill constantly, so it doesn't sort of ramp up to 24 psi. It goes very slowly up to peak boost. So the boost is very comes on pretty slowly. Still pretty quick though, to be honest. Got plenty of pull, which is good. So yeah, pretty excited to drive next weekend. Quite like the all red tail lights. I think that looks pretty sweet, and the carbon spoiler looks cool. So I'll probably try and go for a wheel alignment during the week if I get a chance. Pretty classic Origin fenders and fiberglass work. So there's exactly the same spec wheel spacers on the back. It's probably about 10mm difference. So it might just be the way it's been attached, but oh well. Looks pretty cool on the side. Nothing rubs, nothing scrapes. Clearanced everything quite a bit for the front, obviously, but no issues going in and out of my driveway, which was good, and my little test road, it's a country road, it's quite bumpy, nothing was scraping. So yeah, I think that's me pretty much ready. We'll see you down there.